All right, let's talk about artificial intelligence. It feels like it just exploded onto the scene, doesn't it? But believe it or not, the story of AI didn't start last year. It's a journey that's been unfolding for over 70 years. And today, we're going to trace that entire path, from a simple, almost philosophical question, all the way to the mind-blowing tools that are changing our world as we speak. So, let's dive in.
So, let's get right to it. What is artificial intelligence really? I mean, it's probably the biggest buzzword out there right now, but it is so much more than just a buzzword. It's not some far-off future concept. It's here, right now, and it's already working behind the scenes in our lives in ways that might actually surprise you.
Think about this. In our hospitals, AI is looking at medical scans, and it's spotting signs of diseases with a level of precision that's just incredible. It's helping doctors make diagnoses way earlier than was ever possible before.
And you know that frustrating city traffic? Well, AI is out there on the streets too, running smart traffic systems that are designed to make everything flow just a little bit smoother and cut down on all that gridlock.
And yeah, every single time you shop online, that little recommendation engine that seems to read your mind, the one that suggests exactly what you were about to search for, yep, that's AI, acting like your personal shopper.
Okay, so with all of those examples in mind, let's put a definition to it. At its heart, artificial intelligence is all about building machines that can do three really important things. First, they mimic human-like behaviors. Second, they learn from huge amounts of data. And third, and this is the big one, they make decisions based on that learning. That's the secret sauce right there, the ability to learn and then act.
But this didn't just happen overnight. So how did we get here? To answer that, we've got to wind the clock way back. Back to a time when AI wasn't about software or data, but about one single revolutionary question: could a machine actually think?
You know, the whole thing really kicked off not with a piece of hardware, but with an idea. In 1950, you've got the legendary Alan Turing, and he comes up with this thing called the Turing test. The question was simple. Can a machine have a conversation that's so convincing it could fool a person into thinking it's human? That one idea basically lit the fuse. A few years later, in 1956, a group of scientists at the Dartmouth Conference give this new field its official name, artificial intelligence. And then, boom, by the 60s, you start to see the first real experiments, like a chatbot named Eliza that could act like a therapist. It was basic for sure, but the dream was starting to take shape.
Now, those early AIs were pretty cool for their time, but they had a big limitation. You could think of them as brilliant parrots. They could only repeat and follow the exact rules they were programmed with. For AI to become what it is today, it needed a massive upgrade. It had to stop being a follower and start becoming a learner.
And this slide really shows you that huge leap. On one side, you've got the old-school, rule-based systems. Imagine it like a giant, super strict cookbook. The programmer has to write down every single if-then step. If this happens, do that. It's incredibly rigid. But then, you get machine learning. And here, the whole game changes. Instead of feeding it rules, you feed it data. Tons and tons of data. Let's say thousands of pictures of cats. The system then looks at all that data and figures out for itself what the pattern of a cat is. It essentially writes its own rules, and it gets smarter the more data it sees. This, right here, was the moment everything changed for AI.
A good way to picture this whole evolution is like climbing a ladder. So back in the 80s, we're on the first rung, with what were called expert systems. These were AIs designed to be experts in one narrow field, like a famous medical system called Mycin. Then, in the 90s, we took the next step up the ladder to machine learning, where for the first time, systems could actually get better all on their own. And then, in the 2000s, we reached the very top, deep learning. This is where things get really wild, using these complex neural networks that are kind of modeled after our own brains. This is the tech that powers the stuff we use every day, like your phone understanding what you say or your Photos app recognizing your friends.
Okay, so that's the history lesson, from a simple test all the way to deep learning. But let's bring it back to the here and now. How does all that history, that 70-year journey, actually affect your life today?
Well, the short answer is it's everywhere. And it's all directly connected to that history we just walked through. Remember that top rung of the ladder? Deep learning? That's what's in hospitals right now, scanning MRIs and spotting things the human eye could easily miss. And that big leap to machine learning? That's what's protecting your bank account, spotting fraudulent transactions by recognizing patterns in real time. Even the logic from those old expert systems helped pave the way for how self-driving cars make decisions. See, that whole journey has a direct line to the world we live in.
But hold on, because this journey is far from over. In fact, just in the last few years, we've turned the page to a completely new chapter. And honestly, This might be just as big a deal as that jump from rules to learning. We're now in the era where machines don't just understand or analyze the world, they actually add to it. They create.
I'm talking, of course, about generative AI. The 2020s are truly its coming out party. We've got models like GPT-3 that can write an email, a poem, or even computer code. And then you have things like DALL-E that can create a stunning, totally original piece of art from just a few words you type. Think about that. This isn't just about recognizing patterns anymore. It's about using those patterns to make something that never existed before.
And that really brings us right up to this moment. We've gone from machines that followed simple rules to machines that could learn, and now to machines that can create. It's been one heck of a 70-year journey, which leaves us all with a really big question to chew on. After all that, what on earth are we going to teach them to do next?